Yeah, for us, the trend that we've seen since the beginning of the year is just a major slowdown in business where I would say maybe 15% down to 17% down from last year, which is really scary. I think the trend, without having a crystal ball, I'm going to guess that the trend has to do with gas prices are higher and everything is more expensive. And so people, instead of going out to drink, they're just going to stay home. Drinking at a nice cocktail bar is a treat. And I think that, bars generally are supposed to be recession proof, but that's probably more true for dive bars that have like $5 beers. And I've seen a lot of bars, even that are not dive bars, start to offer happy hours that are just like crazy good deals.
Build smart, move fast, get the edge of last. This is the Catalyst.
You are listening to The Catalyst, the podcast by the Long Beach Area Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to the Small Business Resiliency Series, brought to you by Don Temple Storage, Wells Fargo, Dignity Health St. Mary's Medical Center, Hyatt Regency Hotel, Intertrend, and Crown Castle. And now, onto The Catalyst.
And welcome to The Catalyst. Welcome to another edition of the Small Business Resiliency Series. And this is a series that started with the Chamber during the COVID days, but it's kind of expanded because our small businesses are still facing a lot of challenges, not necessarily maybe related to the pandemic, but to the economy, to inflation, higher gas prices, tariffs, just a lot of other things that are affecting our businesses. So we are doing deep dives with local businesses here to find out exactly how they're adapting and what they're doing to be able to compete and to survive in this new and changing world. And today, I am very, very excited to welcome Thea Merkhofer. Oh my gosh, I blew that one. Merkhofer from the Wicked Wolf. Thea, thank you for joining us today on The Catalyst.
Thanks for coming. Hello, Long Beach. I'm sorry. Let me say that again. Thanks for having me. Hello, Long Beach.
It's not a Monday morning, believe it or not, but I think we're acting like it's a Monday morning or a Friday afternoon, which is not. So let's dive into this. For those people who don't know what the Wicked Wolf is, give us an idea of what it is that you do, where are you located, how many employees do you have, how long have you been in business? Kind of give us a little overview of what the Wicked Wolf is all about.
Thanks for the opportunity. So the Wicked Wolf started out as a cocktail lounge in Long Beach in the Wrigley area. It's on Pacific, just a few blocks south of Willow. We are a cocktail bar. And we opened in 2023. And in the meantime, we've also kind of expanded our hours to be a teahouse and a coffee shop on Friday, Saturday, Sunday during the day. We're a place for getting a very special signature cocktail. We're a place for getting afternoon tea. We're a place for meeting a date or a friend to catch up. The music is never too loud. The vibes are great. The drinks are fantastic. And the atmosphere is just welcoming and safe and friendly for everyone.
Wonderful.
We have about 10 employees and most of them have been with us for a longer period of time. And we offer health insurance.
Wow. I was going to ask, of your 10 employees, are they all full-time or are they part-time or a combination of both?
They're part-time. We have one. They're all part-time. We just don't have enough. The reason that we have to have everyone be part-time is because if we gave full-time employment to like 2 bartenders, basically, if one of them got sick, we would be left out high and dry. And so that's been always a source of frustration for me because I would love to give everyone more hours. We just have to work in a safety net because, for instance, a couple of our staff are band members and they travel with their bands, they tour. And so when one of them leaves, we have to have someone else cover. And if we were to have this person be full time, we wouldn't have someone else to cover them. So that's always a trick with small business, especially in the restaurant business, is how to have just enough staff to cover all the shifts and give everyone as many hours as possible, but also ensure that the restaurant or the bar have enough staff to cover when someone's sick or out of town.
Mm-hmm. And do you have food at your place too?
We have the afternoon tea food, and then just a small, like a small offering of pre-made foods. In the evening, we are working on expanding our menu. We're working on creating a kitchen in the back so that, oh my God, I can't wait. And once we get a kitchen, we're going to offer such amazing food options. But for now, we offer a very small menu.
Cool. How long have you been in business?
Yeah, so we opened in 2023 in April. We just turned 3 years old.
Wonderful. So you were not open during the COVID pandemic.
No, I was doing other things during the pandemic.
And even after seeing what happened to the bar and restaurant industry during that time in 2020 and 2021, you still said, I want to open a bar.
It was foolish. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for pointing that out.
Well, obviously you're doing something right though, right? So you were able to kind of look at the market and see, did you see an opportunity? Because there were a lot of bars and restaurants closing during that time too. So what was it that you said, I have a better idea, I have a better concept, there's a great opportunity? What was it that said, I'm still going to do this?
Yeah, no, none of those things. It was just a lack of experience and foolishness, honestly. And I'm not even being cheeky. I didn't know any better. You know, I think by 2023, I forgot that had been a pandemic, and I didn't really know like what the effect of it had been on businesses necessarily. And we saw the space, my husband and I saw the space. And for me, I thought it would be a place to do art, to have play readings, to have screenings, to have music, and then have the bar part of it kind of pay for it all. Uh-huh. And it just sort of, again, my lack of experience, my lack of knowledge in the field, the concept sort of exploded, and it probably should have just been like a simple neighborhood bar. And then I made like a fancy, elegant, beautiful place that's like a living room in the forest. And it is a place for community, and it is a place for culture. So in that way, we've achieved our goals. Is the bar paying for it all? Still remains to be seen. It's definitely an uphill battle.
Yeah. Well, just to make it the first 3 years is quite a milestone.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess we passed that second year do or die milestone.
Mm-hmm. So as you were opening up in 2023, you were still, I'm trying to get a timeline here, because this new administration came in and started changing a lot of the tariffs and such. And I'm going to play a little inside baseball here for real quick too. So not only did we have the tariffs that were affecting a lot of the pricing for imports and drinks and stuff like that, but we also, in the food and beverage restaurant industry, lost a big California supplier in RNDC that carried a lot of product that many of the bars, and so a lot of our normal products that we normally would get went away, or they went to other distributors and just other this. Did that affect you at all when we lost an entire leg of a distribution company here in the state of California? Did that affect you at all?
Yeah, it was really upsetting. I was concocting in my head letters to the heads of these, kind of like an open letter to the heads of these distribution companies, because I think that the thing that was most upsetting is losing our reps. we basically have created a very great working relationship with our reps, the people who come to tell us about what spirits they carry and what, if we say, okay, we need a gin that's like this, then we reach out to the reps and we go, who has a gin that has a specific taste, or who has a whiskey that has a specific infusion. And we had a couple of reps at RNDC that, and then actually we had a very close relationship with the head of the regional head. And when RNDC moved, we essentially gave up on an entire a huge company, Brown Forman. They carry all kinds of spirits. And we lost our relationship with them. We lost our relationship with the rep. And yeah, we used to carry Ford's gin. We used to carry all kinds of whiskeys with them, and all of that is gone. So we've had to completely pivot. They would be available through another distributor, but we just decided that it was just too much work to start a new relationship, and we just dug in and decided to deepen the relationships we already had. And so when you see what a bar is carrying, you'll know who they have relationships with and who supports them and who they choose to support.
Have you seen your cost on your imports and your liquors go up significantly, and as a result, have you had to adjust your prices, or have you been able to absorb them pretty steadily?
Actually, both ways. Our manager, Isaac, is really incredible. He's been working so hard at keeping our costs down. But even with the costs kept down relative to what they used to be, everything has gone up. And so our prices have had to go up too. Labor costs have gone up, right? So our prices have had to go up. Ideally, labor costs should be at 30%. We hover between 32 and 40% most of the time. So, when you're asking, do we have full-time employees? That's, part of the pain of running a restaurant business. Is you want to make sure that everyone who walks in is served in a timely manner, but you also want to make sure that you have your percentages right. So it's a juggling effort every week.
When you talk about your labor costs being 40%, that's a choice you're making to pay your employees higher and keep your customer prices low, right?
No, not necessarily. We pay our employees the minimum wage. I wish we could pay them more. The choice that we make is in the quality of the drinks that we serve. So we make all of our juices. We make all of our syrups in-house. We do a lot of infusions for our cocktails. So that takes a lot of labor. We used to have one barback just coming in for a whole shift just to make that every week. And then we had other barbacks in the evening also work on the prep. So it is a lot of labor to do something like what we do. So like if you go to maybe a dive bar, usually, right, the syrups are store-bought, the juices are store-bought, everything is just as cheap and can be. We don't do that. We prioritize quality. We prioritize quality of the drinks and the quality of the experience, and that's costly.
Yeah. It's a choice, and it's a good choice because you're differentiating yourself, right, from those dive bars. So
yeah, I mean, there's definitely a place for a dive bar. There's definitely, every business has a reason to be. And we were just getting flack on Instagram just the other day from someone who says, I wish you could close forever because the dive bar that was there before you, I could get 29 drinks for $20 and now I can't do that. I feel like we're priced reasonably especially for what we offer. There's a great reason to have a dive bar. Every neighborhood should have a dive bar. Every neighborhood should have a local joint that's maybe not a dive bar, a sports bar. And then every neighborhood should also have a nice, like a more elevated bar, which is what we are.
Have you noticed the trends? I've been reading recently that the younger people, we're talking about the millennials, people in their 20s and such, just aren't drinking like previous generations. Have you been seeing any of those stories, or are you seeing any of that in your customer base?
Yeah, we definitely feel that for sure. But we have a really extensive mocktail menu, and we also do events that draw the younger generation in. They're a lot more event oriented, and they're a lot more experience oriented. So we'll do things like we host the local read and sip group. We sometimes host the walking club, the Long Beach Walking Club. They'll come and have their biannual parties at the Wolf, or we'll host Bridgerton theme parties. We have a lot of book clubs coming through. We have a few writing groups coming through. So we do a lot of events that bring in the younger generation also. They are less inclined to drink and more inclined to join for a fun event.
That's one trend that we've been seeing a lot, is that they just don't have that desire for the drinking that other generations have. Like at my wine bar, we see that a lot, that there's just a lot of people coming in here and going like, and it's not that they want wine or beer. They just they want a wider variety of just non-alcoholic drinks.
Yeah. Which one is your wine bar?
The Marina Wine Bar, next to Boathouse on the Bay.
Oh, I didn't know that. Cool. Yeah. I'll have to stop in.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me buy you a glass of wine.
Okay.
But that's the one thing you were talking about, finding that right balance between having enough employees for coverage, but having enough in case someone's sick or if somebody wants to take a vacation. And just this last week here, as we're recording this, it was graduation season, and we had a lot of our team, out for graduation. So
right.
It's always a balancing act, like you mentioned. As we look ahead to the future, though, because we all want to be optimistic and we all want to believe that it's going to get better. What do you see your biggest challenges being over the course of the next 12 or 18 months? And what are you planning on doing to combat some of those and continue to grow and thrive where you're at?
Yeah, for us, the trend that we've seen since the beginning of the year is just a major slowdown in business, where I would say maybe 15% down to 17% down from last year, which is really scary. I think the trend, if I had a crystal ball, or without having a crystal ball, I'm going to guess that the trend has to do with gas prices are higher and everything is more expensive. And so people, instead of going out to drink, they're just going to stay home. Or because we don't offer food, if people are going to go out, they're going to go out to eat. They're not going to go out. Like drinking at a nice cocktail bar is a treat. And I think that, bars generally are supposed to be recession proof, but that's probably more true for dive bars that have like $5 beers. And I've seen a lot of bars, even that are not dive bars, start to offer happy hours that are just like crazy good deals, right? And so I was talking to someone yesterday and I was like, I think everyone is suffering because I'm seeing a lot of happy hour ads from bars that I think, oh, these guys must be doing great. And then I see, oh, they're offering $5 burgers or whatever. And I'm like, no, that's usually a sign that they are trying to get people in the door. If you're a consumer, I keep an eye for those signs and go and support the businesses that are offering happy hour, because that means that those are the hours where they need more people to walk in the door. For us, I think it's an uphill battle because where we are located, to attract people from all over Long Beach, it's a bit of a challenge. People don't think of Wrigley as a place to go necessarily. It's sort of like something they drive through. And so we'll find ourselves having to sell the neighborhood just as much as selling what we do. It's a challenge, again, because we're so ambitious and we make everything ourselves. It's a challenge because every day I hear people saying, "The Wicked Wolf, it's on my list, I want to go," and they haven't been. And every day we hear, "Oh my God, this place is so amazing, I can't wait to come back." And I don't know if we see them back as soon, because I think most people are just still used to going to the places where the stuff is. 4th Street, Broadway, uh, Second
Second
Street,
Street.
wherever, right? Like by the beach, they're just going to where they're used to go. We're kind of a trek. We're like a special trip. And so in some ways I feel really proud that we've managed to survive 3 years, even being a trip and a special treat. But it is that part of it is becoming a challenge. So I'm not sure exactly how we're gonna tackle that. We're talking about it every day. I stay up at night thinking about it. And if any of the listeners have ideas other than just shut down permanently, like the guy said the other day, yeah, we're open to it. But we also just sometimes you just can't help but be who you are. So, for instance, last night we had a really great Tuesday night because this improv group that comes through a couple of times a year was there, and they put on a fantastic show, and they had a great audience. It was standing room only. And, as a business owner, it's like it just fills your heart to see your place just filled with people laughing, clapping, enjoying themselves, enjoying their drinks and enjoying the event that they're at. So it's really hard. A night like that actually makes it hard because whatever decisions are going through my head, I'm like, gosh, but I can't give this up. This is amazing. Right. So, yeah, it's sort of hard to stay true to yourself, but it's also sometimes you just can't. It's just like, this is how I know how to do it. So I don't know how to do it another way. So we're just going to have to live by this or die by this. What are you facing, and how are you dealing with it?
A lot of everything that you just said is like hitting home with me too. We have seen a decrease in volume, and we've seen a decrease in our check volume. More people, less people are spending less when they're going out. They're pre-gaming more. We have built up a pretty loyal following. Members, a lot of my regulars call us the clubhouse, where they will meet before or after whatever it is they're going to do for the night. So they will, if they're going to all, like if some of the groups are going to go out to dinner, they'll say, we'll meet at the wine bar, and then we'll go out, and then they disperse from there. Or if they have plans with other people, they may text and they're like, hey, want one more at the wine bar? We'll meet you there at 9 or whatever before we go home. So we do have that. But it's just one and done. Before, I've had the bar since 2018, and they were ordering bottles, and they were splitting, and they were throwing cards down like, it was nothing. And now, we're not seeing that. Even our most regulars that would come maybe 3 or 4 times a week are maybe coming 2 or 3 times, and they're not spending as much as they used to, but they're still coming, which is great, but they definitely have cut back. We've only started seeing that in the last maybe month. When the gas prices first started going up, it's like it didn't even matter. But now that this whole thing has been going on for months now, I think it's been months now. I think it's finally starting to take the toll on people. I mean, who does it? Gas is that one thing where you got to spend it to get to work. You got to spend it to get your groceries. You got to spend it to get here. And then you got to spend it to go out at night, So I think it's finally catching up to people.
Yeah. And how are you handling it? What are you thinking? How are you guys planning for for the downturn.
Well, the one good thing that I think that I have that, and I don't want to make this episode all about me. This is
No, but like,
this is
listen,
about
no, but okay, so it's an exchange, right? So this is how we learn from each other, and and like people, want to listen about me, but they also want to listen about you because they're different businesses, but the same. I don't think it's about you. I think it's just more of like, we're talking, and I wish if we were live, people could call in and say what they're doing and how they're handling it. I think it's interesting. I want to hear.
So for me, it's I think one of the benefits that we have against what you have, because you were talking about all the challenges that you have up there in Wrigley, is we're right on the water. We have the Aqua Link that starts up this weekend over Memorial Day weekend, which is when we're recording this. And we just know during summer, we just get a natural influx of people. That's just a given. Now, how big that is and how much they spend is different. But we're in an area where there's more money. We're right next to Seal Beach and Huntington Beach in Orange County. There's all those boats that are right there next to us. So people are out on their boats. They walk over. They have a couple things. They listen to some music, and then they go back to their thing. So just having that environment is a little different for us, and that's great. Now, on the flip side, when it's December and January and February and it's cold and rainy and windy, no one's thinking about outdoor dining and ocean views. They're like, I want to be inside. I don't want to be in the cold. And that's where we really struggle. We're very, very weather dependent. And so I always say we're feast or famine, kind of like a retail shop.
Yeah.
Our Black Friday is this week and Memorial Day, when finally we can start, being able to turn and keep some money, but that means that we got to pay off all the stuff that we're behind on from the slower times when we were doing this dry January. I always joke about dry January. It's like, if I ever figure out who invented dry January and had that thing we're going to hang them by their freaking toes,
Right. Yeah.
So that is our thing. We also have a very robust membership program. And that would be something that I've talked to a lot of people. There's a restaurant in Laguna Beach, actually, that reached out to me that wants to know all about it because they're trying to duplicate something. And I just know I got X number of members and it's X number of dollars, and it just hits my bank account on the first of the month. It covers my rent. It covers this and that. So it's easy to start the first of the month out on the plus side.
Right.
So
I thought of that when we first opened. I thought I would do that, but honestly, we our events are free, so there's not a lot that we can offer. We used to do tastings sometimes that were you had to pay to get in, so maybe for something like that. But I thought of this ever since we started. I think it could be a good in, but I don't know. We might our ideal customer might just not be a membership type of person.
Yeah. And that's the difference for every bar, every distinction, every difference, that's why you got two dive bars even that are right next to each other, and one of them does really well and one of them suffers. We're serving the exact same product, but there's an X factor in it. And so what is that X factor? What is that X factor in your business or mine or, in the one that's next door or across the street? There's always something that you bring to the table that is uniquely you that people will go visit. So as we wrap this up, I'd love to know if somebody let me start it this way. At some point in everyone's college career, they go, man, we should open a bar, and people, always talk about that. Hardly anyone ever does it, but you've done it. What advice would you give to somebody if they said today, I want to go do what she did. I love this place. I would love to own a place like this. I'm going to go and to do this, and I want to do it. What do you know now that you didn't know then, that you wish you'd known then, that you can tell them?
Well, I think the thing that that we just discussed, you brought up and we're hitting up against is location. I would say that the most important thing for a bar is location. And it's not just like it's not just about picking the right location where people are going to go out, but it's also matching the location with your concept. And I think those two things are crucial. I think that as a neophyte, I could have matched our location better with what we did. So I think I would say location is the most important thing. And I would say not just pick a location where people are going to come, but also match what you're doing to the location where you are.
That's great advice, by the way. It goes back location, in real estate. And there is a saying that I heard recently, and it kind of made me sad. And they said, 9th District, North Long Beach. It said 9th District is where businesses go to die.
I'm feeling it. We're not in the 9th, but I'm feeling it.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what is Bixby Knolls 9th District or what.
No, 9th District is going to be a little further up North Long Beach, over off the 91 freeway, at the 710 up in that area.
And it's not a poor area necessarily. Even affluent areas can have businesses that can kill businesses. I think it just has to do with how a neighborhood thinks of itself. Like if a neighborhood thinks of itself as not a walking neighborhood, that is where businesses are going to die. And if a neighborhood is not able to change its mind and be like, we want to become a walking neighborhood, we're going to start doing walking things and we're going to support businesses that are local because we want to become a walking neighborhood, I think then, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. The neighborhood is not walking, then it becomes not safe, actually. Because if you don't have people out on the street, then the nefarious powers are going to feel like, oh, no one's watching. I can do whatever I want, right? I can break into cars. I can break into stores. No one is on the street to see me. This is part of why I love Wrigley, because they are really responsive to the idea of changing as a neighborhood, of becoming a walking neighborhood. There's Christine at the PBS pub just down the street from us on Willow. She created a wonderful community at her pub, and they Bixby Knolls has this big First Fridays events, and there are northern neighbors, and they suck the life out of Wrigley. So whatever little life there was at PBS Pub, at Long Beach Beer Lab, at the Wicked Wolf on First Fridays were always dead because everyone goes to Bixby Knolls to First Fridays. So then we decided to do some different things. We started a salsa class. We're working with the YMCA to do like a parents' night out where they babysit the kids. And PBS Pub decided to do a First Friday bar crawl. And they have right now, there's like about 25 to 30 people who walk as a clump. Right. And they just go and they walk to, even though it's like you have to cross really busy Pacific Avenue, which can be dangerous, but they decided that they want to support the local bars on First Friday, which is notoriously a slow night. And they've really made a huge difference. And so I think that it takes, maybe individuals. We have some great individuals in Wrigley who are trying to kind of put Wrigley on the map and make it more of a walkable, lovable neighborhood. But then it takes also ideas and visionaries like Christine to just be like, what can we do to create community? What can we do to get people used to the idea? No, you can just walk from PBS Pub to the Wicked Wolf, and your legs are not going to fall off, and you're going to enjoy the night. So that's what I think. I think if neighborhoods think of themselves as like, oh, this is dangerous, I don't want to walk there, then they're going to fulfill that prophecy, and they're never going to have a walkable neighborhood. If neighborhoods and neighbors decide, let's do something about this, let's create a walkable neighborhood, then it can happen. I think, I don't know for sure, but I think that's kind of the story of 4th Street, right? Because I think there was like initially um, a cafe or a vintage store or something like that. It was like alone for a decade almost, just in an emptiness of, abandoned buildings on 4th Street. And then slowly other businesses started to crop up, and now it's a really vibrant neighborhood.
Yeah, and they've found their own identity as Retro Row.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the other thing is you have to allow that identity to develop. Yeah. Some neighborhoods just don't think themselves as walking neighborhoods or going out neighborhoods or shopping neighborhoods. And sadly, ironically, that's going to lead to lower property values, less safety in the neighborhood, and kind of, to my opinion, less joy of living there.
We've been talking with Thea from the Wicked Wolf up there in Wrigley. As we wrap up here, I just want to ask, is there anything else that you want to say? I know we covered a lot of ground in today's episode, but before our time is up, is there anything else that we haven't covered that you want to get out there? Any other things you want people to know about you or business or advice you want to give? The floor is yours.
I think since this is a series about resilience, I just want to give a shout out to all the small business owners in Long Beach and everywhere else for the amount of work that I know it takes to open and to stay open and to convince yourself, even on really hard days, to not give up, to keep it going. So my hat is off to you, especially those who've been doing it for a long time. I know that the lows can be really low, and I know that the highs can be so fulfilling, but I also know that it's a really, really hard daily job, and yay you. And I also want to give a shout out to the city of Long Beach and say that right now, my big soapbox is trying to convince the city of Long Beach, but also just in general, any city in the US, to focus more on tax breaks for small businesses and less on tax breaks for big businesses. I know we want to have big hotels come to town. We want to have big stadiums built or whatever, but I just want to convince everyone that the money invested in a local small business stays in town. The money invested in a large hotel, corporation, whatever, coming to town with whatever clout they bring, that money never stays in Long Beach, right? Because that money goes to investors statewide, countrywide, worldwide. We don't know where it goes. It does not stay. So if you want to create a livable, thriving city, invest in small business.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today on The Catalyst as part of the Small Business Resiliency Series. If people want to come visit you, if they want to find you, they have questions, what is the best way for someone to get in contact with you?
Best way is to reach out on Instagram, go to our website, thewickedwolflb.com. Or, call our number or just show up. We have free street parking, and great vibes, delicious drinks, and a safe atmosphere for everyone.
Fantastic. I'll have to make my way up there again sometime soon.
All right. Thanks for having me, Stuart. That
Absolutely.
was really lovely.
Thank you for joining us today, and more on The Catalyst coming up again with part of the Small Business Resiliency Series. And thanks for joining us today on this episode of The Catalyst. We will see you in the next episode. Thanks, everybody. Bye.